Greetings, terrestrials! The date is March 17th, 2022. The Earth is in retrograde, and these are some strange times indeed. You, of course, are watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre, Czar herself. It is St. Patrick's Day, so we are wearing the Swamp Creature jumpsuit. I'm hoping to devise a way, if there's any costume designer, or not even costume designer, but fashionistas. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Something is happening over here. I have like an extra little microphone of hair. If there's any people, we have to turn it into an incredible swamp creature jumpsuit. That is fashionable and fun. That's the assignment for the three of you who are watching currently. Let's get into it, folks. Every week on this show, we explore the unexplained, the strange, the bizarre, the unexplainable. If you can't name it, we want to hear about it right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. We broadcast this information out to the world, but of course, we do not have our good tech boy Steven today, so we won't be taking calls. I almost cracked it. I almost cracked the technology to make it work on the Mac, but it was paywalled. And then I realized, well, that's not going to work at that price point. So we are still waiting on Steven to be able to take calls. Which is to say, we won't be taking calls this week. But in the near future, we will be taking calls again. But tonight, plenty of strangeness abounds, plenty of things to talk about and to explore. The beginning is just happening. It's time for Top Stories! Our first top story, it's a John Waters Space Telescope update, everybody! Would you believe it? We finally have it, the very first image from the John Waters Space Telescope. We have collaborated, we have calibrated all of the mirrors perfectly. We have finely tuned them so that every mirror is pointing exactly where it needs to be in perfect focus all the way across. And now at last we have this picture. Let's take a look. Our first image from the John Waters Space Telescope. Boom! There it is in all of its glory. And what we are seeing here is a focus. The focus of this camera is at the dead center of this star. And the fact that it is shining this bright is this is if you were to take your camera and point it directly at the sun from the Earth. This is, your camera probably would not. I don't know what it would do. I have not tried doing it, but it would be essentially this. If the focus were the sun, that's what we're getting on this star, light years away. Here's what NASA says. Following the completion of critical mirror alignment steps, NASA's John Waters Space Telescope team expects that Webb's optical performance will be able to meet or exceed the science goals the observatory was built to achieve. On March 11th, the Webb team completed the stage of alignment known as fine phasing. At this key stage in the commissioning of Webb's optical telescope element, every optical perimeter that had been checked and tested is performing at or above expectations. The team also found no critical issues and no measurable contamination or blockages to Waters' optical path. The observatory is able to successfully gather light from distant objects and deliver it to its instruments without issue. Although there are months to go before Waters ultimately delivers its new view of the cosmos, achieving this milestone means the team is confident that Waters' first-of-its-kind optical system is working as well as possible. So there we go, we have it right there for all to see, the first image from the John Waters Space Telescope, now that everything has been finally tuned and finally focused. How exciting. We are soon to see an incredible glimpse into the cosmos, and I know that our good friend Dr. Kevin Hainline would love to come back and tell us more about it once we know what it looks like. So, very exciting times there on the future. And look, we even have a new selfie. This is the newest selfie from the John Waters Space Telescope. This is its mirrors as they look perfectly aligned, exactly where they need to be to get that perfect image of deep space, performing better than expected. Who knew that technology could do like 110%? Incredible things are happening out there in space. And folks, boop, 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 boop. Our next top story, I'm very excited about this one. This one's a lot of fun. We have been covering this for quite some time, folks. We have been talking about this for since the beginning of the show, really. I think in one of our very first episodes, if not the first, the second, were sightings of a Mothman at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. And now we have this new, fresh story. And folks, let me tell you, this one rules. One of my favorites so far. One of my favorites so far. So, we gotta get set up for this. Hold on one second. There's no way to do this in preview. So, how did I have this? I've worked in the theater long enough to know I should be marking my spots. Oh, we love when the music times out. All right, perfectly. If anyone's watching in the chat, please let me know if the Theremin is balancing remotely well. Get us the desired effect. Bum, ba-dum. All right, so this is the latest sighting. I love this one because it's about time that the Chicago Mothman had the intrusion on two young lovers story. So picture it, if you will. A parking lot. A construction site near Chicago O'Hare International Airport at around 10 p.m. on March 5th, so not long ago at all. I was driving around with a guy I had just started talking to. We were out by the airport just cruising around, listening to music, getting to know one another. We decided to park and smoke some bud. One thing led to another. We were in the back seat, and he looked up and started screaming, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?" over and over again. It was then. We felt like something bumped into the side of the car. Like when someone slammed up on the side of your ride. And I sat up and saw a pair of bright red eyes and a big black body looking into the driver's side window, into the back seat. It scared the hell out of both of us. We both started screaming out loud, and this thing kept looking into the car. And then it just disappeared. A security guard shows up. And then 2 more show up. They made us get out of the car and started asking us why we were there, but after looking at us, they started asking about what we had seen. We told them, and they screamed at us to get dressed and leave. That's where their story ends, but the article, this is from singularfortean.com, goes on to read a little later on. And I gotta say, to the person who experienced this, if this clip gets to you, they say right here, "For the witness's sake, I asked her to please skip the details and just stick to the sighting itself," they said when asking the witness further questions about the incident. And if you want to call into Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister any Thursday at 9 o'clock, please don't skip the details. We want to hear every single little bit of this story, because not only do we love hearing about the strange and unexplained, but we love gossip. Anyway, she described the entity as being tall and thinly built, with bright red eyes that were glowing. She also described feeling the car move as if somebody had slammed against the side of it, and followed by her partner starting to scream. The witness described the entity as bending down to peer into the window, and from the brief glimpse she saw of it, when she sat up, described it as owl-like. Her partner told her that it looked like the eyes were set into the entity's shoulders. The witness stated that the creature was gone within a few seconds, and that almost immediately the security guards arrived. When asked how long from when the creatures were leaving to the security guards' arrival, the witness said that she was certain the guards had seen the creature taking off as they arrived. So there it is. Not only do we have another incredible incident in which the Chicago O'Hare International Mothman has appeared once more, but now 2 young lovers spurned in the midst of the act, hot and heavy in the back seat, ruined, wrecked by the Mothman. Am I having issues with the stream? Oh, 19 minutes. Okay. I think it's been solved. So how about that, folks? My favorite sighting yet, and please, 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 if you're the person who was getting ready to, if you were going down in the back seat, smoking some bud outside of Chicago O'Hare, call our show. This is the program for you. This is the program for you. So please, call in and give us all those juicy details on a future episode. We can't take calls tonight, in case by the laws of 6 people, 6 degrees of separation, this has gotten to people. Right, don't call in when Steven's not there, because that won't work. I'm just catching up in the chat. Don't mind me. Spangler's up here, having the time of his life, causing chaos off screen. Alright, well, that's our top stories tonight. We'll be back right after the break with more Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Okay. I'm just determined to let the record play out because it's on this last track here. And we should all take some time to take a breather and drink some water. But I do want to acknowledge Barefoot52 here in the chat. Mothman by the dashboard lights. I gotta say, you know, I should save this for when I'm back on screen. Everybody, take a breather. Drink whatever water or tea or what have you. It's St. Patty's Day, so if you've got yourself a big pint of Guinness, you just lost the game, and now you have to drink your entire glass. So drink down that whole pint of Guinness and order another one up for all of you watching us in the pub down at Brewski's tonight. Shout out to all of the boys down over at Brewski's Pub. We know you guys are watching every single week, and we really appreciate it. I think more bars should have Twitch just going in the background. Greetings, terrestrials! The date is March 17th, 2022. The Earth is in retrograde, and these are some strange times indeed. You're, of course, watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I am your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Every week on this show, we take your calls to hear about the strange, the unexplained, ghosts, extraterrestrials, cryptids. If you can't name it, we want to hear about it, but not this week because Steven's not here to operate the phone lines, and though try as hard as I might, it's still not quite working out. I did want to say, I was talking in the chat, Mothman by the Dashboard Lights. I would love to make that parody happen, especially now that we have this instance. Maybe a Mothman Meatloaf musical. Though his political beliefs are not quite in line with the show, boy oh boy, well, that's why we can get away with it because of parody law. Ha ha ha. Perfect. It works out for us, doesn't it? Our multi-generational Mothman musical. I was thinking today. Plus, he's dead. Exactly. Plus, he's dead. Isn't always a little scapegoat you can get. Which, sad to lose such an incredible voice. Uh-oh, the cat's about to notice the record. Gotta save things. Okay, we got twice as many viewers, so I'm putting it out there again. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. This jumpsuit. Green. It's a little boxy. And I gotta give it a little more flow, and I think it's gotta have some swamp creature vibe. So if anybody is watching who's into like that kind of fashion design, let's get in touch. Let's make some magic happen. Also, if you know how to program Google Chrome extensions, here's an idea I had. Here on the show, we don't refer to the John Waters Space Telescope by its technical name, because the guy who founded who they named it after is not even really a scientist, and he was just kind of like a homophobic NASA administrator. So we call it the John Waters Space Telescope here on the show, and I think it would be really cool to create some kind of Google Chrome extension that changes the name. And maybe if I don't know, I'm spitballing here, but what would be great is if we could get that set up as a Google Chrome extension, and even if you can charge for a Google Chrome extension, do it as like $1, but donate that $1 to Equality Texas. To support all of the trans kids down there, because Jesus Christ, for real, we're really gonna do this? We're gonna do this to these kids? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Take it from the woman with a mustache hosting this show. So if someone knows how to create a Google Chrome extension, let's make that a fundraiser of some sort. Replace the name of the James Webb Space Telescope with John Waters, and every time it'll just replace that guy's name with John Waters. Perfect. That's all you gotta do. Now, when it's just separated by first name, last name, maybe it also will just replace Webb. And if anybody else has the last name Webb, whoopsie, sorry. There's my idea for a Google Chrome extension. If anybody in the crowd knows how to make those happen, let's hook up. Let's do that. Yeah, there you go. It is St. Paddy's Day. It's also Purim, so blessed Purim to any of the viewers. I don't know any viewers who celebrate. I do not know enough about Purim, but I know it's more important than Hanukkah. I know that much. But so a very happy Purim to everybody watching. For everybody who's watching with St. Paddy's Day, I want to talk about St. Paddy's Day for a bit, because St. Paddy's Day, I realized for me, is like it's like a child's introduction into the Fae world. Consider the contextual evidence with which St. Paddy's Day kind of exists when you're growing up, because there is like this story about St. Patrick banishing snakes from Ireland, which is not a thing that happened. I've looked it up. There's a National Geographic article that you can read about why there aren't many snakes in Ireland. It's just kind of the way that land works and migration and all of that stuff. But either way, you don't hear about that story in school. When you're in elementary school and St. Paddy's Day comes up, what is it? It's four-leaf clovers and leprechauns. It's magic and superstition and essentially cryptozoology. Yes, leprechaun traps. Leprechaun traps. How many people in the chat made leprechaun traps as just like a thing during elementary school years, because that was like the cultural context of St. Patrick's Day? When you're a little kid and you're obsessed with the weird and the strange, and you're fascinated by the idea of ghosts and extraterrestrials, and you have no reason to not think that these otherworldly things wouldn't exist. The idea of leprechaun traps, it's also like, okay, we're like cryptid hunting essentially to catch a little tiny Irish man who will give us a wish. First grade, and then I made them at home for the next couple of years. Like, it's for weird-minded kids. I honestly associate in my head St. Patrick's Day with a feeling of like the magical and the bizarre, more than Halloween. Halloween is like spooky. St. Patrick's Day is like the wild unknown. Or that's probably what we should change it to honor the cultures that were destroyed by St. Patrick. My trap was a shoebox with tape on the bottom so their feet would get stuck. The bait was a cutout holographic cardboard from a toothpaste box. I have a book of Irish fairy tales I should lend you. Yes, let's do that, but we should also for the next St. Paddy's Day or for another community, another Irish thing that could spin off, or really any reason that we got to do the show. But fun to keep it in mind for St. Paddy's Day, though it's not going to fall on St. Paddy's Day every year, so we'll figure it out. Yes, I would love to learn more about these Irish fairy tales. Shoeboxes figured large into the leprechaun trap community. Yes, I don't know. I suppose in my mind, I never really pictured a leprechaun would be as big as like a shoebox size. Feels so small for a leprechaun for me. I don't know. That feels like gnome sized, and I feel like a leprechaun is maybe like about yay big. This is how big a leprechaun is. About here to here on the set. Here to here. This is the size of a leprechaun. This is where his little leprechaun shoes are, and this is the scruff of his leprechaun head, and this is the scruff of his leprechaun beard, and up here is his little leprechaun hat. Those are the dimensions of a leprechaun. But I gotta... It just made sense, like, because of leprechaun magic, they would fit in a shoebox. Somehow, like Willy Wonka in the hallway getting smaller, like they would get in there to get the thing. Let me ask a question, because it's been so long since I've set leprechaun traps. And I've always been a bit of a pacifist, but you say your bait was to cut out holographic cardboard from the toothpaste box. Am I correct in thinking and remembering that leprechauns, this because leprechauns love shiny things? That's it? Like they gotta get the gold at the end of the rainbow? I always in my mind, because the cultural context was, there are leprechauns, you gotta catch them, they'll give you a wish, or they'll give you gold. My perception was that they, like, guarded the gold. Shiny things to make them think it was gold. What the what? I have no idea how that got sent. Pop, pop! Pop, pop! There's an unwritten rule of the show. If you ever write pop, pop in the chat, we will honor the NBC community series, and we will give a pop pop on screen. Pop pop should have become the dab. It really should have. But yes, for the St. Paddy's Day, it was like a magical holiday. It was based around like luck and wishes and good fortune that was found by finding four-leaf clovers. Like, it's just like find the magic in the earth kind of thing. Here's what the Dictionary of Superstition says about four-leaf clovers. Finding a four-leaf clover has always been thought lucky, and many people believe that a person who finds one will meet his or her future lover that day. Oh boy, the luck is doubled if the clover is immediately given to somebody else. Okay, alright, that's altruism right there. Superstition has it that they only grow where a mare has foaled, and that the four leaflets represent fame, wealth, a faithful lover, and good health. They also bestow protection against witchcraft and will prevent any young man who finds one from being drafted into the armed forces. So there you go. There you go. Our hot tip on the show tonight. Avoid the draft. Get yourself a four-leaf clover. Get yourself a four-leaf clover. We can work things out in a way that doesn't result in mass death all over the place. Dodge the draft. Get yourself a four-leaf clover this 4th of July. It's the 4th of July. Mamma mia. Magnitude. All right. Well, does anybody in the chat have any questions or anything tonight? It's 9:45 p.m. I don't have much else to talk about, and I'd be happy to wrap it up, but I'm a chatty Cathy tonight, so if people want to chat, we can chat. Yeah, Italian. From the land of the Irish. I have a bunch of Irish superstitions my mom always says. Cutlery related. Ooh. It's all about how dropping cutlery is going to predict your future company. Like the people who come to visit, or a company in a business sense. If you drop a fork, a woman is coming to visit you soon. Okay, alright. If you drop a knife, a man is coming to visit. Okay, fitting for men. And if you drop a spoon, a non-binary entity. Oh, a child. A child. I was practicing the Theremin before the show, and I had a realization. And it's this. If you, or somebody you know, is producing a production of a silly sci-fi musical, like Little Shop of Horrors, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, or anything else that fits that vibe, put a theremin in there. Put a theremin in that orchestra. Specifically, hire me to play the theremin in your production of Little Shop of Horrors. If you drop a spoon, a child. What about a ladle? Big ass baby coming to town. This is great. Okay, this is great. Melodious Snaggle, Barefoot 52. I'm glad to see you two having fun in the chat this week. We love it. We love it. Well, I suppose that's it for Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister tonight. I've said everything I've got to talk about. And I won't spin my wheels for longer than I need to. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. Last call for questions. If anybody has a question or something they're like, Cliff, wax philosophical about this for 10 minutes. Then alright, we can do that. But otherwise, I wish you all a very happy time. Go take care of him. Okay, yes. Well, they're actually resting right now. So the best way for me to take care of them right now is for me to leave them alone. But I'm sure they appreciate the sentiment. And yeah, so there you go. Oh, hey, here's a plug. This week's episode of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister is sponsored by Club Thembo. Go to clubthembo.bigcartel.com and you can get yourself a Thembo hat. These limited edition Thembo hats. Let me find them. Let me get the picture up. Let me get a picture in here. Hold on one sec. I gotta do some work behind the scenes. Bum, 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 bum. I meant to grab the hat from somewhere in the living room, and I did a bad job. Here they are. Club Thembo. This episode is brought to you by Club Thembo. This episode of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister is brought to you by Shit. It's flipped. My camera is flipped, and I'm not a weather person. And usually Steven flips it for me, so it's always magic. This episode of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister is sponsored by Club Thembo. Hey, Club Thembo. Did your partner recently get top surgery? Well, you can support them financially by ordering one of these Club Thembo limited edition hats. Get one of them hats. Get one of them hats for your head. Get one of them hats for your head. Wouldn't your head look so good? Your head. I'm talking to you right now. Those of you who are still here. I'm watching the numbers go down when you start, like, plugging things. Guys. Terrestrials. People of Earth. This is how it works. When I say we're sponsored by something, trust me when I say this. I'm not getting any money to say this. There are no official sponsorships of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, but you can be an official sponsor of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Should you choose, just send us an email to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. Send us an email to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. That is where you, if you so choose, if you feel so compelled to support this program in a financial means that means you would like to spend money on us, you'd like to spend money on little old me, and when you spend that money, we'll talk about your product on the air. Wow, you really want to do that? You can send an email to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. I honestly, it's not a priority for me because this is just the thing that I do for fun. But if you would, I will not say no, unless it's like, I'm a fascist. Here, read my manifesto on the air. I won't do that. But please, if you really want to spend some cash on little old me, you can also support our Patreon. Support the show, patreon.org, patreon.com/Strangetimesindeed. And Club Thembo. Get yourself a hat. Ooh, would your head? Your head would look so dang good. Your head would look so dang good in one of them hats. Picture this. Picture yourself with a nice... Here, do this right now. Take your hands at home. Put them over your head like this. Whoa, the lights. The overhead lights, they ain't in your eyes anymore. Wow. And then right there across your forehead, emblazoned, to let the whole world know that you are a Thembo. Join Club Thembo. The beanie is snugly warm. You heard it right there from Frady Cadigan in the chat. Wow, really? When I was like, I was like, give me money, but I don't care about money, and the numbers dropped. Fascinating. I'm like, is that intentional? There are people like, oh no, she's trying to get us to buy an ad space. I'm not. What I'm trying to do is get hired to operate the Theremin, to perform the Theremin for a production of Little Shop of Horrors at any location within an hour drive, and pending that it works with my schedule. Please, I think that would be so. I think a fantastic addition to any sci-fi musical, any silly, campy sci-fi musical that you got going, or even horror. You can get some spooky sounds out of this thing. And I would love to play it on stage in some form. And I'm like, well, that might be the place, honestly. But if you also have a band and you want a cute thereminist, you got a band, let me know. That's going to be it for Strange Times Indeed tonight with Cliff McCallister. Of course, I've been your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in and commenting in the chat. It's been a lovely night. So fun to share these Mothman stories, to talk about the magical, wonderful wonders of St. Paddy's Day. Happy Purim, blessed Purim to everybody who is watching and who celebrates that as well. That's it. For Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, I, of course, have been Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Stay strange, terrestrials.